Always remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday. Happy anniversary. 20 years old. And next year, Revenge of the Sith will be able to drink to Revenge of the Sith. Grayson.
Isn't today also the 26th of the Phantom Menace?
Yes, the Phantom Menace is 26 years old. The
Did they both
6-year-old
come out
brother.
on the 19th?
I guess. I mean, that's what it says.
That's what they saying.
That's what Yoda said.
It. Yes.
20 years of Revenge of the Sith, and I know we've been talking about Revenge of the Sith for like all year now, and especially
I'm going to talk about it till I die.
Yep. I'm going to talk about it every day. Even to people who don't want to hear about it. Just walk up to people on the street.
Revenge of the rest of my life.
Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. 20 years. I got my cup from the.
Oh, I didn't realize that helmet came off. That's
yeah, dude. I'm also kind of bummed because the AMC one, like it was a popcorn bucket as opposed to a cup, and it also like lights up and makes sounds and stuff. So
I see. Had I known like 30 minutes ago that we were going to be talking about Revenge of the Sith just like for a little bit, I would have gotten my holy grail of Revenge of the Sith toys that
dude,
none of y'all have. Probably you might have it, but it's I have to go to another room to get it, so I'm not going to do that. But it's my Darth Vader voice changer helmet. With
dude,
the box on it and everything. Yeah. I also have out in the garage. I have my Volcano playset with the
nice.
with the Anakin Obi-Wan, and they
Yeah, dude. I wish the Volcano is the one thing that I wish I still had. Is that I wish I kept.
Didn't you say you like played with it in the pool or something?
Yeah, dude. Being a Florida kid, you brought it in the pool and you would put it over where like the filter of the pool was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could take the cap of the filter off, and when you dropped them through the volcano, they went into the filter and like into the water. So it was just
the inverse. Why didn't you do it in lava?
Why wasn't I swimming in lava in the backyard?
Yeah.
The
Tell me why. Okay.
Yeah, it was a recession, dude. We couldn't afford lava.
Yeah, dude. I made an offer today on Facebook Marketplace. I'm hoping she says yes. It was Grievous's bike with Grievous in box, brand new from Revenge of the Sith, 2005, $35.
Dude, that Lego set was so much fun.
No, not the Lego set. Did I say Lego?
I know, but I'm thinking of the Lego set, dude. That was because I had the Lego set. I didn't have the actual figure that like sat in like.
What was your first Lego set for Revenge of the Sith?
For Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, if you remember. Because I only had one or two.
It was either that one because it came with Obi-Wan on the big lizard.
Boga.
Or Anakin Starfighter. Or it might have been it could have been the little small pack where it was just the operating table where you could flip it and it was Vader and then it turned into Anakin and he was all like crusty and burned. It could have been that.
That one was one of the two that I had.
Okay.
And I only just thought about it because I remember you could flip his head. And it would have like either the clean face or whatever, or like maybe the gray version of the face. I don't remember. But yeah, like I remember because it had the little like medical droid that they put in Battlefront 2. And then the other one that I had, which is why I have a very soft spot for this ship, and we don't see it enough, although it's in Bad Batch quite a lot, which I like, is the V-Wing.
Ooh.
The ones that make the kind of TIE fighter sound.
Yeah.
And like I remember getting that toy set, and it's like, I mean, I think you only see that ship at the very end of the movie.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like when they're building the Death Star.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, but we see him a lot more in Bad Batch because, like, that transition period.
Yeah,
and we'll probably see him more in Maul Shadow Lord.
Dude, the Arc 170. I know they just re-released it with a new Lego set, but that Lego set was, man, dude, I love that ship. That's a top 5 for me.
Did they ever do a Lego set of the not that's not what I'm thinking of. The Outrider?
I
Shadows of
don't.
the Empire?
Yeah, I don't believe so. I don't think they ever did any Shadows of the Empire Legos.
Have you ever thought of getting one of like the MOC ones?
No.
Really?
No, I'm not. I really appreciate the amount of detail that goes into those, but I am a strict Lego on the box Lego guy. I like to go to Target. I like to get the Lego set. I like when it drops to be able to get it. The U-Wings back there, just built that this weekend.
Sick,
dude. That's a top 5 ship right there.
I want to see it.
Okay, hold on.
I want to see how big it is. I don't know the scale.
It is a lot smaller than the original Lego U-Wing.
2016 one. He's rolling. By the way, Skywalking Ryan, what's up, dude? Thank you for being here. You're the man. I love you.
All right. Dude, I was going to take a photo of it and post about it, and literally Luke and Brent did it on the exact same day. And I was like, all right, I'm not doing it now. I'll just bring it up on stream.
That is so nice, dude.
It's so much fun. And it's not even like, I know we were talking about it. It's not even that bad that he doesn't like lay down fully. He's more of like at an angle in the seat. So it's like,
he's like
super like,
but it's
reclined.
It's kind of more like Starfighter scale rather than
Yep. And like the doors pop open so you could like do the drops, and then the wings go all the way back. And it's like when the wings are out, dude, it's big.
Dude, that's really cool. So is it they fly with the wings out when they're just standard flying, but when they're in like space, they don't fly with it out and they're in hyperspace? It's like weird. I don't understand like when they have them out and when they don't have them out, you know?
I thought it was same protocol as an X-Wing. Where like as they're taking off, they open, and then as they're in space, they close.
But I thought that was just to put them in attack positions. I thought that was because of the guns, not because of the anything to do with the flight, right?
Well,
because it didn't
divert. I don't know, because like the scene that I'm thinking of right now is obviously S foils in attack position.
Are you thinking of New Hope though?
Well, I'm thinking of an Andor when you see all of them take off, like when you see them start to rise on what planet is that where Saw Gerrera is from?
Dakar.
Dakar, yes, and they're all. You see like the 3 of them go up and they immediately open their S foils. But like, then I'm also thinking about in Mando, when they pull up on, when the guy who plays Luke and Carson Teva pull up on Mando, they're not open.
The guy who plays Luke?
Yeah, the guy who plays Luke, who did the motion capture.
I thought that was Brendan Wayne.
He's one of them, but the other the other X-Wing pilot is, or maybe it's not that scene, but I know at one point the X-Wing pilot is
Graham Hamilton.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I'm about to hold on while we're on this U-Wing kick. I'm about to check and see. I just thought of something while we're off the rails. I gotta see if a U-Wing is in this book because
it better be, dude. U-Wing is top 5, dude.
Top 5.
Top 5. I love the U-Wing. I think it's, other than the X-Wing, it's my favorite wing ship. I do like a Y-Wing, though. I do like a Y-Wing.
I like Y-Wings. I used to like them a lot more, and they've kind of gone down for me over time because I'm like, dang, they're just so old. You know? Like,
I kind of like them because they're old and rusty.
Sorry. I don't like them by the time of like the sequels because they're like still using them, and I'm like, come up with another bomber, guys. Like, what are we doing? We're using this like this old like 1930s Ford to bomb things.
Yeah. I do like the A-Wing as well.
A-Wing's classic, dude. Like,
I do like the A-Wing. I'll tell you what, I do not like the B-Wing. Don't like a B-Wing.
a B-wing.
Not my favorite. What I really like though, since we're just talking about wings now, ships that end in wing, the E-wing from Ahsoka, I really like
also,
those.
What was that the E-wing originally from? Because it was from the EU, wasn't it? From just the RPG.
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm. Really cool. Oh,
Dude.
Underrated Rogue One ship. The Imperial cargo ship.
Oh, true.
I know it's kind of just like a big box with 3 wings on each side.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. We're just talking about ships now. I don't even care, dude.
Sonny says no justice for the B-wing.
Or maybe
I don't like it. I've never liked the B-wing, dude, to be completely honest with you.
Underrated ship. I know this is like a nerd thing. Everybody like nerds like me and Sam Witwer, but the Z95 Headhunter. Classic.
Yeah, dude. It's just an X-wing.
No, it's not. They don't have S-foils.
It just looks like an X-wing, dude.
Nope,
it's an X-wing. Nope. It's a flat. It's a pancake X-wing,
dude. There it is.
It's top 5, dude.
The UT-60D U-wing troop transport. What's the
It's
scale
the
of this thing? Okay, it's about the size of the Falcon. I love that.
Really? It's length.
Well, I'm talking about so in the game it goes by silhouette, which is
okay.
Kind of like the overall shape. So more so like
Sam's like the Falcon's huge.
I think it's talking about more of like overall size, not necessarily like from like end to end. It does
because I was like the Falcon's bigger than the Razor Crest.
Honestly, I feel like the Razor Quest.
I love the Mandalorian.
The Razor Quest is probably on the same scale as the U-wing in terms of because it's not, the Razor Crest isn't that big. Like in terms of interior size.
Dude, right? it's I feel like it's kind of big.
The Razor Crest or the U-wing?
At least on the inside, not the U-wing. The U-wing's not that big on the inside. Like when I think of the best example of the inside of a U-wing I can think of is when we got the scale of the inside of that ship that Cassian was on in episode 1 of Andor season 2, when they're crashed on what ends up being Yavin.
Right. Yes.
Like the pod bay of the inside of that.
It's kind of like a Republic gunship. A little bit, it's a little bit bigger than a Republic gunship, in terms of the maybe a little bit wider.
Yeah, but the inside of a Razor Crest has to be bigger than the inside of a Republic gunship.
Oh yeah. You're right.
That's what I mean. Of a U-wing, the Razor Crest is big, but in terms of big ships, I would say the Falcon is the Falcon's a big boy.
It is, yeah. It's pretty large. The Ghost is even bigger than the Falcon.
That's crazy.
It's not that much bigger, but if the Falcon was this, the Ghost is this.
Those Corellian freighters, dude.
Yeah, and also when you think about it, the average of how many people are in the Falcon versus in the Ghost, the Ghost almost by season 3, they've got Kanan, Ezra, Hera, Sabine, Zeb, Chopper, and AP5. Whereas typically in the Falcon
and Rex at some points,
and sometimes Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So, but average so that's 6 or 7 people, whereas the Falcon typically has at most, if whoever's going to be at it at all times, it's usually Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie. That's still a lot though. But yeah, maybe it's one less. Why are we got into this whole topic about ships?
Top 5 ships off the top of my head.
Okay.
These are in no particular order. I'm just going to list my top 5.
Okay.
U-wing, X-wing, snow speeder on Hoth.
Oh, so we are talking about speeders. Okay.
Arc 170.
Mm-hmm.
That 5th spot.
I can tell you what's in mine.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say the Falcon.
No, I'm not. Oh, Falcon is actually.
I'm so dumb. Ahsoka's T6.
Oh yeah.
How could I forget that? Yeah, Ahsoka's T6.
So what's higher, U-wing or T6?
T6. T6 is my all-time favorite. It would probably go T6, X-wing, U-wing, snow speeder. For the longest time, if you asked me, I would have said that the snow speeder was my favorite all-time vehicle in Star Wars.
Really?
I love that thing, dude. That's crazy. I love that ship. That little speeder, dude, then they're back to back. It's so much fun. I love that thing. If I could pick a vehicle to have as a car, it would be that.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's just a flying. Yeah. It's like an air speeder,
Yeah, that thing is so much fun, dude.
Okay. Okay, we're just talking like flying vehicles, dude. All right, in no particular order because you mentioned the speeder. Republic gunship.
Yep,
easily in my top 5.
That's a top 10er for me.
It's really good.
Specifically, the one with the teeth on it from Gendy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So yeah, Republic gunship, the Ghost, Mandalorian, or Bo-Katan's Gauntlet fighter.
Ooh, that's a good ship.
That's a really good ship. Did I say Ghost already? I did say Ghost.
Yep.
Dude, I'm getting really picky now. I've kind of been back on my Jedi Interceptor phase a little bit. I really like
the Jedi Interceptor is so much. Every variation of the Jedi Interceptor is also so much fun too.
Dude,
like when they're long in episode 2.
My curly. What am I saying? My my current holy grail is the Darth Vader version that came out with the 30th anniversary toy line. It's the black and the gray and the red, and I want it so bad because I have Obi-Wan's version in the opening, which I always never realized until rewatching Revenge of the Sith that he has a different colored interceptor. When he goes to Utapau, it's blue.
Yep.
And then Anakin's later on is purple or like green.
Yeah,
it's like a light green. Which makes sense because they both got destroyed. And then what's my last one? We'll put the Jedi Interceptor in there. That might change, honestly, because I'm feeling it right now. I'm gonna put the U-wing in there.
Dude, this guy didn't even say the Falcon, and that's crazy.
You didn't either.
I just feel like the Falcon would have been in your top 5. You're such a Han head. I feel like the Falcon would have had to been in there.
Yeah, actually, it might take out the Jedi Interceptor, but I already had the Ghost. Like.
Yeah, but dude, like, I don't know. I feel like everybody's like. The Luke's X-wing, the Millennium Falcon, a Star Destroyer, Vader's TIE Fighter, which, hey, can we talk about it? I really don't like TIE Fighters.
TIE Avenger, though.
TIE Avenger's sick.
I was about to say, come on, that has to be
why? Because it's pointy.
It is pointy.
How do you feel about it's pointy?
How do you feel about the TIE Defender? Okay.
It's
got the whoop,
Yeah, it's not bad. I do like the TIE Bomber.
It's pretty cool.
I like the TIE Bomber.
My favorite version of the TIE, which is technically First Order variant, but the TIE Silencer from The Last Jedi.
Dude.
With the square cockpit.
Yeah.
I love the square cockpit. It also makes such a sick noise. It literally is like a muffled version of a TIE fighter. So it's like, oh man, it's slick.
Damn.
When he's doing like the spin, just like Anakin, dude. I was like,
ooh.
We needed more time with Ben Solo and with
that full stop, end of sentence. We needed more time with Ben Solo.
We needed more time, especially I wanted to see more of him flying.
Yeah. Dude, because his dad's the
dude. He has such a layup of genetics of pilots in his vein. Han Solo is his dad. Anakin Skywalker is his grandfather. Luke Skywalker is his uncle. This Lando is his uncle.
And Chewie, dude.
And Chewie. Like, he's got nothing but just like people who can fly ships like absolute, just like Dominic Toretto can in a Charger.
Blood, dude. Family. Yeah. All right, so I told you this right before. I made kind of an ode to Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
It's not extremely long, but when I got off of work, because I got off work a little early, I was like, why don't I make something for Revenge of the Sith?
I'm gonna sit here like Thrawn.
Yeah. And please judge. I tried my best to go as film bro as possible with this. I have not done that for a long time.
Okay.
But back to my film major college editing days. Okay. So just we'll watch it, and then afterwards you let me know.
Okay.
Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force.
brother, Anakin!
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom!
Let's play my little brother.
Hello there. What did he say?
I'm crying, dude.
I had that idea 10 minutes before. Oh man,
I was so invested, and then I was just like, and then freaking Big Justice shows up. I was like, what?
Dude, I saw that video right before we went on of him being like, "Oh, sorry about your brother dying," and I immediately was like, "You're my brother, Anakin." I was like, "I'm making it right now."
There was so much that I had to process. In fact, I would like to quote the great Ian McDermott. Roll it again. Let's play it back.
Play it again.
Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force.
You were my brother, Anakin!
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom!
Let's play my little brother.
Hello there. What did he say?
Dude, there was the next thing I just picked up on, why was Luke from Kenobi Grievous and out, bro? Like,
You've never seen that video of Obi-Wan walking up and being like, "Hello there," and it's being the end, and then it's Luke doing the Grievous. Oh man.
Oh my god, dude. Bro, it was funny because like the first time I watched it, I was like the seriousness immediately tapered off as soon as he goes, "I hate you," and I was like, what was like this like really got like weird really fast, and I was like, oh.
Yep. Ah, sorry to hear about your brother dying. It gets 5 big booms.
If you don't post that,
I don't know what to do with it.
Well, let us know in the chat, everybody. Yeah. Noah, thank you for being here. You're not fake like Lainey. I am also crying. My tears are showing.
Crying because of how good it was, not because of how funny it was. Brain rot art.
Brain rots, dude. That's the caption right there.
Dude, I found that photo. Like, I've seen it before, but like posting about Revenge of the Sith the 20th today of Ian McDermott as Palpatine wearing those sunglasses.
Yes.
Like, oh man.
My favorite little behind the scenes, or one of my favorites, is Anakin. He's like doing that. He's all burned up or whatever. And he's like trying to like lock in, but he like clearly he's like a bad take and goes, "Oh, I hate you."
Yeah. Dude, there's so many. There should be a tier list of just those moments of like that, the Ian McDermott photo, like Qui-Gon with the umbrella helmet from Phantom.
What is the one where it's when they're about to fight Dooku, or Ewan hits Hayden in the face with the flight, and he's like, "Ooh." Also,
Mark Hamill getting bit by the snake in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, of course. Like, did you? You might have just already said it because I didn't know we were talking about Saga Wide. But of course, Ewan in like the speeder, he's like,
"Yep."
Oh, and Django with the umbrella like tapping.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, there's so many good ones.
Blind ranking Star Wars bloopers. Did you just like? All right, which one?
All of them are one.
My favorite, which I was like. When I was watching the like documentary that came along with like Rise of Skywalker, which is like basically like for the 40th or like 45th or like it's like for the end of Skywalker saga, where like Harrison Ford like trips up on his words and he has like the microphone and he just like he's like and just like eats the mic. Have you seen that one?
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh,
dude, there's so many good ones.
Brick Mafia, what is up, dude?
What's up, dude? Here. Makes the best hoodies in Star Wars right now.
He missed out on the whole Lego conversation, man.
Yeah, I know. We did talk about we talked about like none of the stuff that we said we were going to talk about right off the bat.
Time time to lock in and talk about actually a serious matter.
Yeah, I guess we should start being serious. Yeah, well, at the end of that video that we just played, let's get up a little bit of a segue here. Emperor Palpatine was dancing in Fortnite. We're going to talk a little bit about how James Earl Jones has his voice is being used as a chat bot in the new version of, or this new season of Fortnite. And I know you've played, and have you actually interacted with it, Grayson?
I have not, because that is such a hot spot because everybody wants to talk to him.
Yeah.
Cole and I played last night and we landed, and I kid you not, a fifth of the entire lobby landed there on top of Darth Vader running around trying to kill everybody, and also stormtroopers. So it was like 30 different entities, and we got obliterated. So no, but people, we killed him last night. Like someone had gotten him, and then we just pulled a Han Solo or pulled a Indiana Jones. But no, I have not. And I actually was talking with Cole a little bit about it last night, and I could tell. And it's very interesting that the news dropped today, which I'm sure you'll bring up. But when I brought it up, I was like, "You've seen the AI James Earl Jones, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah. They are, well, SAG-AFTRA specifically, which is currently in the middle of their video game strike already, they're putting in a lawsuit against Epic, to against the AI Vader voice. Do you have an article pulled up on the specific details?
I've got
this?
I'm gonna pull up the post from SAG-AFTRA on Instagram.
Yep.
This is the specific post. So this is their statement. We celebrate the right of our members and their estates to control the use of their digital replicas and welcome the use of new technologies to allow new generations to share in the enjoyment of those legacies and renowned roles. However, we must protect our right to bargain terms and conditions around uses of voice that replace the work of our members, including those who previously did the work of matching Darth Vader's iconic rhythm and tone in video games. Fortnite's signatory company, Llama Productions, which is insane that that's what it's called, chose to replace the work of human performers with AI technology. Unfortunately, they did so without providing any notice of their intent to do this and without bargaining with us over appropriate terms. As such, we have filed an unfair labor practice charge with the NLRB against Llama Productions. A copy of the filing can be read at the link in the bio.
Yep.
So, first thing, my question is, I was unaware that they had to file first, or like any sort of alert that they were planning on doing this before they decide to actually do this.
Yeah.
I had no idea that that was even part of what they do.
It is, yeah. So I'm not gonna like pretend like I know everything about, the SAG-AFTRA union when it comes to especially video games and everything.
Yeah.
If you want to hear someone who is knowledgeable, Sam Witwer is your guy. He is a bastion currently for that. He is standing united with SAG-AFTRA. So there's a lot going on there, especially with that. And so yeah, so the big thing that I'm seeing a lot of is people talking about like, well, yes, this was back when Kenobi came out. This was obviously before James Earl Jones passing, but he passed away last year, right? Or was it this year?
Last year, I believe.
Okay,
right?
I mean, it's within the past 6 months, I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
And which is still crazy to me. And obviously he will be like, I miss James Earl Jones a ton, but it gets into a very strange dilemma where he did sign over, and obviously like his family members and everything were okay with this because he signed this over before his passing.
Yeah.
For Lucasfilm to use his voice using AI for future projects. Now, I believe this was always the intention of this was to bring in an actor like there have been various actors who have voiced Vader in the past. Notably, I'm blanking on their names, but there's been 3 notable guys who have voiced Vader. The main one was did like The Force Unleashed and the Battlefront games. Another guy, he did it in like Fallen Order. Another guy did it in Outlaws, and they all kind of like what it says in the post there, share that cadence and that rhythm of James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
and I think the intention of them getting the right to his voice was never to just make Vader AI for the rest of it, but was to essentially what I would call a voice deep fake. Again, I don't know the terms of technology, but essentially bring in an actor and then use that data to alter it a little bit to make it sound more authentic to Vader, but it would still be a bass performer, very much like what they did with Luke in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
This gets into an interesting thing as well, where it's like, I guess they have to. I mean, it makes sense that they have to like file for it, especially being under SAG-AFTRA, and also Fortnite being literally the biggest game of all time for like years and years on end. But it's also interesting and very. It gets into a really big gray area because this is the first time Fortnite has ever done this, where they have a character on the map that is purely generated by AI, that of course they've like trained it to like make Vader like responses, but they're getting him to say like these just crazy things,
like brain rot stuff.
And it's like at first it's funny, but then you start thinking about it and it's just like, dude, this is kind of weird and weirdly a little inhumane, and it's like, why was it even done in the first place,
I think so. To go back to what you were saying about using it as a base, the way that and look, I don't know a lot about this stuff. I haven't done as much research as I should. As somebody who, you and I talk about this stuff a lot, like on the side about AI use. Both of us are really not fans of it. Especially when it comes to stuff like this, especially when it comes to taking jobs away from hardworking, talented people.
Of course.
That's when I really put my foot down on AI. Is look, I was talking to my sister-in-law about this, and AI is being used in the medical field to help with algorithms and stuff within their own interfaces of being able to like diagnose problems and all of that stuff, and for efficiency work. And I have no problem with that, because for efficiency and when it comes to health stuff, if there's a way that AI can be used to cure or to help somebody live a longer life, that is, in terms of the medical field, I don't mean like uploading themselves into AI and then that's how they sustain themselves.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's crazy that like you have to say that, because that's like, it feels like we're not too far away from that now. But like, especially talking about this specifically with James Earl Jones, but like when AI is being used and taking away jobs, or at least being used instead of a job that could be given to a talented artist, and voiceover actors are voiceover artists, who put the work in and do their best to portray these people. That's where I get a little fired up when it comes to AI. Now, you were talking about how it's used as a base, and I think from my perspective, and at least my understanding, the best way that I can explain this is...
I do want to correct myself. I was not saying the AI would be the base.
No.
That I was saying that it would be used as a
tool. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
But I think we were both saying the same thing. I was just the base part of it. Used as a tool to help generate what the voice artist is actually doing. I would compare it to, and this might be like minimizing it, kind of like what a producer will do with a sample of a song before making the song, of like using a guitar riff from something as like the backbeat, or the same 808 on a production sample from whatever that is, before there's so many samples of everything that's used all the time in hip hop, but like specifically that's kind of what it feels like to me when AI is being used, of like, or we can even talk about The Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, where like Mark Hamill is on set and they are taking his face as the actor. They are taking what he looked like from when the movies were coming out and him as a young Mark Hamill. And then they're also taking an actual actor and putting that face on that face. We brought up Sam Witwer. He explained this as well for what he did with that Star Trek project that just came out that looked phenomenal, that I don't remember the name of, at Unification. I almost said Resurrection. I was like, I knew it was one of those words. Unification, which if you have not seen it, it's got like millions of views and it was listed as a private or unlisted video. Like incredible. But Sam Witwer is the body and the face beneath the face of William Shatner's Captain Kirk. This is a Star Wars podcast. We're talking about Trek, but the way he explains it is, and it's not even this specific technology from my understanding. It's more of like what we know of deepfake, where he is acting and actively watching himself on a screen with that face on his face, where he's acting with that on. And he was explaining it on Katie Sackhoff's podcast, The Sackhoff Show, who will be doing a live performance of The Sackhoff Show at Rebel ScumCon in August. Be there, be square, you nerds. But he's explaining it as almost like wearing a digital mask the entire time. And there were points where he had to do like prosthetics and look like William Shatner. And he even said, he was like, I don't look like William Shatner. It's such a specific face and it's such an iconic face as Star Trek. I mean, it's a Luke Skywalker-esque character. It's a Christopher Reeve-esque character, where like that's the face of the character. And he explained it as Chris Pine doing William Shatner's Captain Kirk in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. And he was saying that was more their take on the character. He's doing almost like an impression of William Shatner as Captain Kirk. Yeah. Because he understands that he has to wear that face. And it's incredibly interesting with that technology. And although I'm not against it when it's used like that, you and I, we can talk ourselves into circles when it comes to this, but like, we're always going to say, get an actor before. Like, do I think there's anybody more deserving than Sam Witwer for any role? No, dude. Like, I love when Sam gets work, and I love when he gets to be passionate about the work that he's in. However, when it comes to this with like the James Earl Jones thing, it gets into the uncanny valley of like, it's just also weird. Like,
there's not even a way to do a human performance of that, so don't even do it at all, man. Like, it's just weird. Like, you're talking to a robotic imitation of Darth Vader, which is also the first thing that they've ever used his AI likeness for since his,
like, this is literally the first thing that he signed off. And I think it is also worth mentioning that he did sign off on the use of his voice, and I'm sure at the time everybody thought it was going to end up with something like this, like the severity of signing your voice away, right? The database of what you own. And it is that thing of like, people nowadays where they're building generational wealth or anything like that, of how can I, when I'm gone, make sure that there's still a way for my family to continue to profit off the work, off of my life's work. And that is incredibly admirable from my perspective of all of that. It's just, maybe it's just about in the way that it's being used. That's weird here. I also that's
the thing is, again, like if they, let's say they came out with a Force Unleashed 3, okay?
Yeah.
And they get the guy who voiced Vader in the Force Unleashed 1 and 2. But they're like, hey, we want you to fully do the performance as you would. However, in post-production, we are going to use, because typically, like, you're not going to just do a Vader voice and not edit it, right? In the same way that you're not going to do General Grievous, right?
Yeah.
We're going to use that data, that the stuff that we have the rights of, to then modify your voice to
Yeah.
make it sound more like, to cross over to sound more like James Earl Jones, that's fine, because that's still a human performance that is the base of that.
Yeah.
And it's all completely scripted. This is all like creative from the heart, from writers and everything. And of course, it's using the data of James Earl Jones, and that money is going back to his estate, to his family, the stuff that he worked so hard for. This is literally just a walking brain rot zombie in Fortnite that there's really no rhyme or reason for it, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like a cheap, like, hey, Darth, you can go talk to Darth Vader, and it's like, it just sounds off too. It's weird, man.
It is. There's the weird uncanny valley portion of it. I think, and this might be a funny example, but like what comes to mind of like maybe what I would have had preferred is like, the at Epcot they have that crush thing with the turtle where like it's somebody doing an impression of the guy who did the voice of Crush, and like it's CGI'd in, and he's doing the movements and all of that, and he's talking and he's live answering. He's a comedian who's live answering with that voice. If
it's
they
still
had
all him,
it's still all him. If they had done something like that and used somebody else to create the database that the AI is speaking with, I don't know. But then I feel like, well, shouldn't, like, as James Earl Jones, he is the voice of Darth Vader. It's kind of like that thing of like when a Star Wars film is being made, I'm always like, well, somebody should ask John Williams, like, if he has anything to say about the music. Like, hey, we have somebody else who's on board, but we just wanted to ask, do you have any interest in doing this? Even one, when it comes to John Williams. And I'm like, it is a big difference, but like John Williams is still around to answer that question. James Earl Jones signed the answer to that question there. And I know it's more like, well, it's kind of a yes and a catch-all. Mm-hmm. Perhaps is the way to look at it, where he signed his voice away in the way that it's being used. And pretty much anyone can be like, as long as the check's big enough, anybody can use that voice, because that's what he said that they could do. It's just, I don't know. There's weird checks and balances. And as the area continues to get grayed, like we said, there's, put the artist first, and James Earl Jones was a prolific artist in the way that he used his voice for iconic characters. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
It would have just been better, honestly, and a lot safer and pretty cool as well if they had just did what they did with Kenobi, because obviously that was where like the breaking news kind of came from, that like, hey, they used AI to help basically make his voice more youthful. I talked about this earlier in some voice messages between us today, but like, if you go and listen to James Earl Jones' voice as Vader in Rebels or in Rogue One, it sounds a little bit older.
Yeah, Rogue One was a little jarring watching it the other night. Of like,
he's like, he sounds like this, you know, and it's still James Earl Jones. But then when you go to Kenobi, you realize what they did is, and this I believe was the implication, is that he did come in and do some of the stuff, but what they also did was they used the data from the original movies when his voice was younger 40 years ago to make it sound more like Vader from the, and to me, I'm like, well, I don't have a problem with that, because like, that's, again, it's still him. It's just making it to make it more youthful. Like, it's still going straight to him. It's still just his art. Because from what I understand, the one in Kenobi was not just straight AI. Like,
I'm pretty sure he did some stuff on it as well.
Right.
Just to make it sound more like the you are part of a rebel alliance and a traitor. Right. Take her away.
So like, to give another example would be like, you know, it's just, again, AI is supposed to be a tool, not the base. And this is just entirely it literally is like a meta chat bot in Fortnite. And it's like, what's the point, dude? Like, you could have easily had him be a character on the map and like maybe ask him like specific, or like a more like going up and like asking specific questions sort of thing, and it be kind of cool. And like actually be voiced, but again, it'd still be like an actual actor. Because like, yeah, I get the SAG-AFTRA point of like, if there's going to be stuff, like, is this just going to be the norm for Vader? Like those guys that did Vader in Fallen Order or The Force Unleashed or, you know, whatever, Shadows of the Empire, like they made such a mark as Vader outside of James. It's like, why can't we, like, that should probably continue on. And I mean, it's the same thing of our discussion the other night of like, we would prefer to have a new actor for Luke to make his stamp on the character, you know?
Yeah. It's a weird gray area because there's so many examples of like pros on either side of it. I feel like, because there's something like, do I think James, or kind of like the John Williams example, do I think there are people who should have ownership and say over if a character that they have portrayed in the past, if they are the definitive version of that character, should they have some sort of supervision and be able to check boxes on whether and how and why it's being used, and just have a little bit of input on the creative vision? I think yes. I think 100% yes. Kind of like John Williams. But then I also think of something like how you always bring up and this is a perfect example, which I totally agree with, of like the Ewan McGregor example of like, if Alec Guinness was around to be able, like, no, if this technology was around at the time of Alec Guinness, would he have signed off on it in a way that would have never given us Ewan McGregor?
And like now you're at the point where Ewan is kind of getting close to that age of Alec Guinness age, and he can do the voice.
Yeah.
Of like, he can do the, like when he goes up and says, hello there, to it sounds like the perfect middle ground.
Yeah.
And that's all him.
But I also think of people like Steve Stanton, who did the voice of Obi-Wan in the Rebels
so good
fight, like incredible. And he sounds like Alec Guinness. And that's my thing of like, it's just so hard to determine. And I think that's probably where most of my frustration is with it, is it's so new and there's so little jurisdiction on all of this that until something bad happens with it, there's not going to be input for it. It's kind of like security, where a building doesn't have security and then something bad happens. They're like, well, we need to up our security. It's like, well, if you had security beforehand, it probably would have nullified the problem, right? Sure. It's kind of like the TSA at an airport situation of like, well, after 9/11, now we probably don't let people bring knives onto planes. You know what I mean? But there's a catalyst for overreaching and redirection when it comes to stuff like this. I guess the only thing that I can say is I would assume there are people probably first and foremost in the Star Wars space, because I feel like Star Wars is kind of at the forefront for all of this. In terms of like the deep fake, and maybe I should say Lucasfilm, because of stuff like with Harrison Ford for the Indiana Jones stuff, in terms of like the games, and then in Dial of Destiny with him being de-aged and all of that stuff. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of actors who are nowhere near the age or at the point of James Earl Jones being like writing a will or doing any sort of preparations for after they pass, who are going to start putting in their contracts some sort of legislation or some sort of jurisdiction that says, I don't want my voice to be used in this way. Here's an example: the way James Earl Jones was used in Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I'm sure somebody like let's say Sam Witwer, for example, like he's done so much on the forefront of making sure, or at least right now, focusing on making sure that actors in this space who are having their face and likeness and voice in this new age of technology, having a database for that. And he talks about that on the Katie Sackhoff podcast as well, the Sackhoff Show. And it's an incredible interview, and I'll link it in the description for this because everybody should go listen to it, because incredibly interesting. The way he explains all of this stuff. But he talks about it in one, and then he explains it a little bit more in depth when it's just him on. But the first one, he's with it's both the GOATs, Sam Witwer and David Collins, explaining how this technology is used. But if Sam Witwer was to sign off that his voice can be used as Star Killer 50 years from now, for all of this, I think there would be some hesitation for how and what it can be used for.
Right, because like they signed that right away, but it's like, I don't think we fully know, like, was it just like, okay, this is just, we can just use it for whatever they want, or is it like, because I remember especially with the Sam interview, he talked about it like to be like a bank essentially, where it's like, okay, you have to now go to this estate and you have to now sign a contract of what specifically you can use it for, what you are using it for in a limited capacity, and then that is all you can use it for, and then you have to return it back.
And if you were to get the files and use it for anything other, not even nefarious, but anything other than what you said you were specifically going to use it for, with supervision from those who are lending it out, as well as the example he uses is like, if Tom Hanks wants to be, or if somebody comes to Tom Hanks and they're like, hey, we want to use you for this project, we want to de-age you and we want to use this voice, Tom Hanks can say, okay, you go to the bank and it's through me, but they're who hold it for me. So that way they handle all of the file transfers and all of that stuff. But if something is to go wrong, which at least for you and me, we're always cautious about something like that going wrong in terms of this being used. If you are to do something like that, they are the ones who are going to take legal action based on the paperwork that they have written up for all of this to say, hey, you did this wrong. Not just a slap on the wrist, but like, you are going to be taken to court for what you did incorrectly. And I think look, this technology isn't going away. And at the moment, for where I'm sitting, that's probably best case scenario for all this, right?
It's best that I'm sorry, say that one more time.
It's best case scenario in the way that Sam is explaining how it can be used.
It's not an all or nothing sort of thing. It's like, well, first they have to be okay with it, but then it has to be okay for what? And I can't imagine they're seeing, I mean, maybe I could be very wrong, but I couldn't imagine someone related to James Earl Jones being like, man, I'm really happy that he's talking about all of these brain rot terms, only less than a year of his passing, so I don't know. We'll see how it.
Yeah. But then there's also the thing of like, does it make it any better that like this entire group of people online are, like you said, like you dropped into that lobby and there's millions of Fortnite lobbies a day where they're just dropping, and all of these players are actively dropping just to go interact with the voice of James Earl Jones, like that he will be in the mind of these children. And there's like, we talked about Revenge of the Sith at the beginning of this being the 20th anniversary of like, when I believe you said it's this way for you, but at least for me, like when I think of Obi-Wan Kenobi, if it was a Rorschach test or like a name association and somebody said Obi-Wan Kenobi to me, Ewan McGregor's face is who I think of. As much as I love Alec Guinness and I love what he did with the character, like I'm the biggest Force Ghost fan you can think of, but like I think of Ewan, and it's that thing of like Ewan and the Star Wars that he made helped shape my fandom at a young age, that it's so much of a building block of what I am. And I, as somebody who says, like, I've got it tattooed on my leg, but as somebody who actively says so much of how I think about Star Wars is like quickly in cutscenes of Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say that is is disrespectful to Star Wars because it is parody.
No,
but it's like a weird line in just the way it's being used here. I don't know. It's so there's so much nuance when it comes to something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unprecedented, like, especially in a capacity like this. Like, there's no, like, you see these, like, AI videos all the time, but, like, there's got to be a point eventually where there's got to be some serious regulation on it.
I also, too, have not seen, there is not an AI video that I have seen that I thought looked cool or good. Truly. Anytime it's anything. There's not one that I have seen where I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm sold. I immediately clock it and I'm like, I hate this.
This is lame. You just point out immediately like all the things that are wrong, and you know that it's wrong because it's not creative interpretation. It's the robot screwing it up because it's taking all of this stuff from different people and trying to make this garbled, like, and so it's like, I remember when the AI stuff like Mid-Journey and everything was beginning to happen, Cole was the one that like showed it to me.
Yeah.
And that was before it had become such a controversial thing of what it was actually doing. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. But then very quickly I was like, oh, I hate this. Like, this is weird, especially as look how much art you have behind you, made by real people. AI doesn't do that, bro. It just doesn't. It doesn't make Dave Dorman Dark Empire covers or the badge art from Celebration. I'm blanking on his name, but he is a master, so and so same thing with like the voice. Like, I still want it to be a real person underneath all of that. If we use a little bit of James Earl Jones spice in there to help make it elevate it, that's fine, but I want to know that it's a real actor being able to properly do it himself first before it's just like, robot, do the voice,
Yeah, and I to that point, I would also say I doubt James Earl Jones signing this, and look, I don't know, I never knew James Earl Jones, but this is what I would have to assume. When he signed that paperwork saying that companies were able to, if the check was big enough, be able to use that voice as an asset for different things like this in different projects. I doubt when he signed that paperwork, it was of the intention of taking away work from other people. No. So that's, if it's being used to give work to people, but like,
even the post says like, we celebrate, estates that are willing to do this. However, it was not notified to us that it was going to be used in this way.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the problem right there. So I'm interested to see how it pans out. I don't have a desire to go speak to zombie robot James Earl Jones.
No.
The season is fun though. The season is fun.
It's really cool. It's really cool, and everything looks awesome about it, and it's so fun that Star Wars, because like I feel like outside of like the MCU, and they already have it with Rivals, but like this is the Star Wars version of Marvel Rivals right now. This is as close as you get. Like, so
between this and like Battlefront 2 is getting a huge resurgence right now, which, listen guys, I don't know who needs to be talked to. Make that game crossplay. Bring it back. Dude. Start working on or at the very least like a revived remaster where it's on next gen consoles. It's crossplay across the board. Like, Star Wars fans are like, they are clamoring for something. And like, there's all these videos and stuff of like the Moon Knight memes of like, every day and it's like the flash, like the Moon Knight, like, flashing back, and they're like back in Battlefront 2. Which is truly, it's crazy because all of the guns in the game are guns that are, obviously they are in Star Wars, but they are all specifically guns that were weapons in Battlefront 2, and they all act exactly the same as how they act in Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
So, which is just crazy.
Yeah. It's wild. You want to talk about Andor?
I have friends everywhere.
Oh, dude.
Yes, I want to talk about Andor, dude.
Hey, actually, before we talk about Andor, I was supposed to do this like way earlier in the episode.
Is this the thing?
I was supposed to do this way earlier in the episode. Imagine if I just play the Revenge of the Sith video.
I kind of want you to.
Um,
Hey, Luke, you still in here? Did you see that video that we did? I feel like Luke, I want to turn on your camera right now. You need to get your reaction to this,
dude. Well, actually, let's pop in a chat real quick. We said what's up to Brick Mafia. JT, Noah's here, Sonny's here. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you hanging out with us on a Monday night. Freezy's here. Howie Maul taking the spot of Sam. I don't believe so, and I would not like that.
If they ever do a Sabaoth type role, just do Sabaoth, bro.
Yeah, just please do Sabaoth. Cabaoth. Luke's here. What's up, dude? Hey. I was in his happy birthday to you for Revenge of the Sith 20 years old.
Luke,
you're officially 20 years old, Luke.
I had a friend of mine, he messaged me and he was like, dude, I hopped into Luke's Lightsabers Instagram and he told me he knew you. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I mean, we follow each other, or we're gonna be talking to him soon. And he's like, that's so cool. Like, and so small world. Anyway, I think that made my friend's day.
I popped into that Instagram live that he was doing today, and I was like, yo, dude, happy 20th to Revenge of the Sith. Is Hat Guy throwing a party because of how much he loves?
I hopped in like 3 messages after, and he said something like, apparently, shout out the Escape Pod podcast, which is way bigger than us.
Yes, of course. You're there. There's absolutely no way you don't know who
if you haven't seen Andrew's Last Jedi Crash Out, you're probably just not on Star
legendary
Wars.
Crash Out.
It's very iconic. But he told Luke that, and listen, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. I personally haven't seen it, so I can't say much. But I don't think it's even going to reach this capacity. That apparently he thinks Captain America: Brave New World is better than Revenge of the Sith.
I liked Captain America: Brave New World. I enjoyed the film. Yeah. I know a lot of people said it wasn't good. I had liked it. I walked out and I was like, that was fun. That was just fun MCU, weird, just one-shot comic. It felt so much like a comic book of like just everybody's there. You know what I mean? Where you just read it and you're like, oh, that was fun. It's just like something to chew on. It's comic book gum. Okay. It is nowhere close to Revenge of the Sith.
I'm going to say something maybe crazy, and I think you're going to agree with me. All right. I really do like the MCU. I'm a big Marvel guy. Spider-Man tattoo on my arm. You can't really see it because of the way my forearm is angled, but it's in line with my forearm. Trust. There is no MCU movie to me that is better than Revenge of the Sith. There's close ones. I could think of maybe 3 on a good day that might surpass it. And I could give you those 3 if you're intrigued. But probably overall across the board, I think I like Revenge of the Sith probably better than all of it. Like Connor from Beyond the Dune Sea said, which I think they're doing a live watch through, like watch party right now.
Oh yeah, are they still live? How long is the movie?
Like 2.5 hours. They might be wrapping up right now.
Yeah.
He said like Revenge of the Sith is like mythology, man. It is truly Star Wars mythology.
It is the Iliad, it is the Odyssey, it is Shakespeare, it is there's true, especially that film specifically.
It is the crux of the entire saga.
Yep. It's so good. And honestly, there was truly no better time to be a Star Wars fan, in my opinion. And I don't know if I would love for there to be something that even comes close to that, but like, there was no better time to be a Star Wars fan.
I think which I agree with you, but I also think there's going to, those kids exist where they're going to think that because we're coming up on 10 years, that whatever you grew up with was the best time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
let's just be real.
It's like, the SNL thing of like whatever cast was your cast when you were in high school is your favorite SNL cast.
Yeah. So it's like there's going to be people, that were how old were you when Revenge of the Sith came out?
I was in the 2nd grade. So
and how old were you when Force Awakens came out? 12th grade?
I was a senior in high school.
Okay. there are people that were probably kids that were set in second grade that are now seniors in high school that are like, dude, the Force Awakens era was the best time to be a Star Wars fan because they had Rebels going on. They had Battlefront. They had Force Awakens. They had Rogue One the very next year. And like, to be honest, not a crazy take.
No, and I'm happy that they think that, dude.
Yeah.
I think for me, I love that there are people who love, and you think I wasn't crying every time I saw the Force Awakens trailer pop up on TV,
gosh.
dude? Every time that Chewie were home, every time.
I just want to, by the way, I just want to say at one point, I would love to, however we need to do this, to like go through and watch all of like the sequel trailers and be like, which ones are the best ones? Because some of those trailers, bro, including Rogue One, like the Rogue One trailers, heaters.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Speaking of Rogue One, I don't mean to get off topic. We should talk about what this episode's supposed to be. Only an hour.
Oh yeah, an hour and 5 minutes in. Oh wait, I should probably do the thing that I keep saying I'm going to do. Hey guys, guess what? We have merch. What? Woo! What? There's merch now, and it's available. Hold on. Let me post it. It's available right now. There's merch.
Look at that sweet Orabesh down there in the bottom right.
Dude,
you have a guess on what that stands for? It's probably not hard.
YFDYR till the day that I'm in the dirt, baby. I love it. I'm super stoked. I spent way too much time working on it.
He spent the entire weekend locked in a cave with a box of scraps.
In a cave with a box of scraps!
Not with a decapitated Vader head that also has his face in it. There's a distinction there. But yes, merch is live. Go get you some Determined Focus merch if you feel so inclined.
Should I put it in the chat? Should I put it in the chat?
I don't think that's a crazy thing to do, Will.
Should I put the link in the chat? I'll do that.
W's in the chat.
Yeah, if you hit the link right there, or you go to the link in either my bio or the Determined Focus bio, starting tomorrow, we're going to be running a giveaway that I'm going to start posting about that will run up until next week, and we will pick the winner for it. I am very stoked about wearing all of this. This is all stuff that I've had in my head for a long time in terms of ideas of what I would like merch to look like. Mm-hmm. And Grayson was kind enough to let me send him pictures of stuff and be like, hey, do you like this?
I was like, nah.
No, just cheeks, dude. But yeah, we have merch. Hey, let's talk about Andor.
Yeah, dude. Bro, where does Andor sit in your pantheon of Star Wars TV shows? Cassian Andor.
There's the boy right there. Dude, so I'm going to write this down because I literally thought about this today.
We're almost a week out or a week away from
it's been a week away, so any recency bias is so potent right now. My number one Star Wars series. We're talking about the live action series. We're not talking about Clone Wars. We're not talking about Rebels. If I was to talk about just the live action Disney Plus series, Ahsoka season 1 is my number one. Mm-hmm. I think Andor, I can't say the entire show is at the number 2 spot. I would say that Andor season 2 is at the number 2 spot. I loved season 2. I really enjoyed season 1. I've said this a million times, but it took a little while to grow on me. I enjoyed it as I was watching it, but it was nothing like this for me. Like every week I was on the edge of my seat. I was standing up, walking around, just with my mind blown and my jaw on the floor for all of it.
For me, it's a thing, and I will always say this, like especially with really quality television, is because there's a lot of TV shows that really waver, right? It can start really good, and then the second season's not that great. Like I think about like The Walking Dead, like a very mixed bag of a show, has really high highs, has some pretty not great lows. Andor is a lot like another one of my favorite shows, which is Breaking Bad, and is that like season 1 is phenomenal, and a lot of people didn't resonate entirely with it, but people who even didn't maybe like season 1 that much because of how slow it was, love season 2. When you talk about Breaking Bad and stuff, very rarely do you hear people being like, "Oh my God, season 1, it's peak, dude." You know, it's a lot of it's literally what I call like the upward trajectory of it. It just gets better, and that's what Andor does. It just gets better, man. Andor season 2 is a smash hit. I would be curious to like on your like season by season ranking, because I think
season by season is almost completely different of a list for me.
Yeah,
like Mando season 2 is.
I agree. Yeah,
like
for me, it's but the thing is with Andor and with all these other shows is they all just satisfy a different craving of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, and I always will say it like this. When I go to like a bookstore and I'm looking at Star Wars books, I'm like, what am I in the mood to read? And that's kind of what we do on Tales from the Archives. If we're like, hey, what are we in the mood to read? Do we want to read this? Do we want to read this? And we obviously get some audience input. Andor satisfies a very specific craving of a mature, gritty, rebellion perspective in Star Wars that we had never really seen to that caliber before. Mm-hmm. Whereas Ahsoka satisfies the itch of the really high fantasy, mystical force elements of Star Wars, which is obviously so intrinsic to it. But then Mandalorian, specifically Mando season 1 and 2, really capture the serial of the week, the adventure of the week. What adventure are they gonna go on next? Who are they gonna meet? What kind of like trouble are they going to get into? They're all very different, you know. And ultimately, I do think Andor is the one that is just like absolute television, you know. But it's like, but that doesn't mean we talk about this all the time. It's just like just because I like oranges doesn't mean I also don't like apples. You know.
Or just because you like apples doesn't mean that it takes away your like of oranges anymore.
Yeah.
Like you liking apples does not take away from your ability to appreciate, like your appreciation points for oranges. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to siphon one to like another.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if I got them all. Okay. So just to list off the series, because I feel like I'm missing one. There's 7, correct? Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, Acolyte, Mando, Skeleton Crew, Andor, Ahsoka.
I think that's it.
That's all of them, right?
That's all of them.
Okay. Here's my 1 through 7 ranking for all of these. In terms of my favorite. Okay. This is rewatchability for me. This is what I enjoy. I will say there are parts of every single one of these series that I truly enjoy and I think make some of the greatest moments in all of Star Wars. There's some of my favorite moments in Star Wars, at least one happen in every single one of these shows. Like if I had to make a list of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars, there's one in each of these series. And it's not just like my favorite moment of the series. It's like favorite moments of Star Wars of all time.
Yeah.
My number 7 spot is Kenobi.
Yep.
I really enjoy this. I really enjoyed a lot of the show. I don't really even know what to say about this series. I really enjoyed a lot of the show, but it just didn't hit the way that I thought it was going to be. And I think a lot of the reason why this is at 7 is because of my own mentality going into the show. I have not given it a rewatch in a long time. It could move around if I gave it a rewatch. The final episode of this Kenobi series is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Bro,
not even just Anakin and Obi-Wan, but like Kenobi speaking to young Leia about Anakin and Padme, like incredible. And obviously, and Force Ghost Qui-Gon's there, and young Luke Skywalker. So what else? Yeah. What else could you really want? Kenobi's at number 7. Number 6 is Book of Boba Fett. I like Book of Boba Fett a lot more than a lot of people.
You do,
and I don't just mean the episode, one of the greatest Star Wars moments of all time with Luke Skywalker training Grogu. I don't mean just that. I also don't mean the Mando episode of Book of Boba Fett. I really enjoyed a lot of Book of Boba Fett. I think it was the closest Star Wars live action could ever get to Saturday morning cartoons.
That's true.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It reminded me of like watching like an episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Saturday morning. I'm just like, whoa, like it's just like all over the place. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's eye candy. It is. We were explaining this the other day when we were talking about it. The example I gave was like, if Star Wars is a menu, Book of Boba Fett is like fries, and Andor is like a steak.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you can have both on the same menu. Book of Boba Fett is fun. It's like nachos. It's like bowling food. It's like a soft pretzel at a baseball game. It is fun. Andor is like going out to a steakhouse. Like that is what Andor is. But number 6, Book of Boba Fett. Number 5 is The Acolyte for me. Okay. You and I both really enjoy The Acolyte. Mm-hmm. I love that series. I enjoyed every single episode. The Acolyte, the only bad part about The Acolyte was the way the fans acted towards The Acolyte. I'll still go back and watch scenes from it. We are going to be seeing Manny Jacinto at Fan Expo Denver in 2 months' time. Less than 2 months' time in July.
I keep forgetting about that.
I cannot wait. We're going to see the Stranger himself. Extremely cool. Wish they, even if it's not an Acolyte season 2, I wish they would have those characters do something again because it was really fun to watch. Number 4 is Mando for me.
Okay. Middle of the road.
Middle of the road. That first season holds such a place in my heart for when it came out. I was working at Disney at the time when the first episode dropped. Galaxy's Edge was right there. I was literally working at Epcot, driving the boats back and forth between there and Hollywood Studios. Galaxy's Edge was that was the heyday of it first being around. I remember being on a boat and somebody being like, dude, did you watch the new episode? I'm like, you see that I'm at work right now? No, of course I hadn't. They're like, you need to go watch it. I immediately took my break, watched the entire episode, bawled my eyes out. It was phenomenal. I watched it on my phone like this in the break room behind the world. Yeah, the true cinema. Like this the entire time, glued to my phone, dressed like a old-timey sailor at Epcot.
He's like, yarg, this is the way.
3 is Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
I'm such a fan of Skeleton Crew. It was so much
great.
fun. Anytime for the rest of my life now, I've always thought of Star Wars, specifically Empire Strikes Back, as a Christmas thing. I will always think of Skeleton Crew as a Christmas thing now.
Yeah, man.
It's so much fun. Number 2 is Andor.
Okay.
Love it. Season 2, for a lot of these specific seasons, are a lot higher if I did it by season ranking. Season 2 just blew everything out of the water for Andor season 2. So it holds up so well. I love season 1, but like I said, season 2 is my, like, I wish there was more merchandise for Andor because I would buy all of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much fun.
I'm thinking about, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I'm thinking about getting the Andor symbol tattoo.
Whoa.
And we'll get into it in a little bit as well, because it's actually not in these episodes. Well, there's a little moment in it. It's one of my favorites.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I almost did a post about it.
It's so good. Yeah.
I think that would be a fun, I know we're on the live stream. I think that would be a fun episode is if we just did all of the visual storytelling moments.
Oh my, there'd be so many, dude.
Dude, that would be not even talk about like reviews, but like just visual storytelling moments, like Bix's gun that Cassian uses, or like, oh, dude, there's so much the sunrise moments and all that stuff. And then number 1 is Ahsoka. Ahsoka is outside of Luke Skywalker my favorite Star Wars character. If you were to ask me at any moment, she's who I think is potentially the best Star Wars character on any given day, any given moment. You flip a coin, I'm either going to say her or Luke Skywalker. Any Ahsoka moment, I will be there for in a heartbeat. I love Ahsoka Tano. I love her character. I love the legacy of the character. I love what her story means. And I love how she has had so many different eras of her story, where she goes from being in the Clone Wars, where it's more soldier based, to being in Rebels, where it's more mercenary based, to being in the Mando era where she's more of a samurai Ronin-esque character, and then it gets into Ahsoka where she's still that samurai, but it shifts more into that, as Sam Witwer would say, a time of wizards and dragons, where it becomes space fantasy. And to your point earlier, all of these shows, it serves a different part of what inspired George's original Star Wars. So like Ahsoka is that, as well as that samurai, also that space fantasy. That's science fantasy as well. Andor is the war film, the revolution, the Viet Cong versus sort of examples for what George was going off of. You think of Skeleton Crew, that's that Amblin hope that George had in a lot of his stuff. As well as
like Treasure Planet and Pirates of the Caribbean,
stuff like that as well. And even like the when George is like, hey, come, it's all for kids, right? That's the Skeleton Crew. I think a lot of that also molds into Mando, but Mando's what I think of, as well as Book of Boba Fett, when I think of like that Western style. That's all of that as well. Acolyte, more of that samurai, but then you also go into that space fantasy. Book of Boba Fett, you can pick and choose a lot of that Western stuff as well. And then Kenobi is kind of like that love letter to the prequels, but also that samurai kind of. Kenobi's got a lot of darker themes as well that I don't think a lot of people remember from the show. But yeah, all of it serves a part to hit the Sam Witwer button of what Sam Witwer says about Star Wars ending up being its own genre, or actually living as its own genre right now. So yeah. And we got a comment from Schechter94. Hey guys, good to see you. Just came over from the Revenge of the Sith rewatch with Beyond the Dune Sea. Happy 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Yes. I hope you enjoyed what Connor and Seth were doing over there. That would be fun. I don't think any of us have ever sat down as a group and watched an actual Star Wars film together.
If we can hassle them into getting, is hassle a word? Yeah, it's a word. It's
hassle.
I'm thinking of if I could harass and haggle. I combined the words into making another word that's not the same meaning.
Tassel.
Tussle. Rough and tumble. Anyway, if
Russell
we can get them
Crowe.
to come, if we can, dude, hear me out. Hear me out. Rebel scum gods, please, a giant watch party of like book, just getting a giant projector during Rebel Scum and being like 10 p.m. after the con. We just like, it's like just like a Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith, whatever.
I wonder what the legality would be of like, if it would have to be like sanctioned like a movie theater.
Even if it's just me, you, and them,
we
fine,
just
dude.
open our hotel room and like,
yeah, dude. They're like, hey, we're putting it on our, dude, that'd be kind of crazy. Like everybody.
Can you imagine if we actually like, and we, whatever the movie was, we decorated like it was the opening night of whatever that film was. Like if it was Revenge of the Sith, we put a bunch of like the posters out, and
my
like,
gosh, dude.
we handed out tickets. That's actually
have, like, the robes.
Kind of a funny idea. Like if we did like tickets and we like ripped tickets for people.
Oh, thank you, sir. You know,
Yep.
like, yeah, that would be great.
That's damn.
That'd be really funny. Dude.
Who knows? Who knows?
Hey, Luke, if you're out there, shout out all the other creators that are popping up. We can make it happen. I'm just saying. Dude, I'm gonna pull up a Schecter's comment again. That'd be absolutely dope. I would actually found you both through Beyond the Dune Sea, and sub to you all guys. Love what you do. Dude, thank you so much. Connor and Seth, they are very near and dear friends to us. Hopefully, hey, we haven't really set it up yet. Or at least we haven't really like fully announced it yet, but you know they're doing the Revenge of the Sith month. Will and I will be part of the Revenge of the Sith novelization discussion at the very beginning of June. So hey, you got time. I got some reading to do. So
yeah, me too.
Hear me out. Star Wars, that'd be kind of sick. That would be really cool. I do have Star Wars pajamas with Vader emotions that say happy, sad, confused. Like, you know, they're like, yeah. Anyway,
have you seen the like pajama robes that they have, like the Dooku robes that they have on Heroes and Villains where it's pajamas, but it's like
from
button up
dude,
like
the one that he
satin.
wears in Clone Wars.
Dude, it's sick. I looked at it one time and I was like, do I really want to buy this right now?
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Okay, because we haven't really actually talked about Andor, I'm not gonna get into it in depth of like why I chose these, but since you did it, I'm gonna do my ranking as well. Number 7, Book of Boba Fett. Again, all of these things I do enjoy. This is just the one that I desire to rewatch the least. I will say those Mando Luke episodes are great. I just wanted more justice for my guy Boba Fett. But overall, I don't actively dislike Book of Boba Fett. It's just something that I yearn for more. Number 6 is Kenobi. Again, generally, like most of the show, not something that I go crazy on. I do enjoy it. I do think the highs of that show are really good. I think Ewan and Hayden do a phenomenal job. I think the Leia stuff's really good. It's just, again, not one that I actively desire to rewatch and does not really doesn't hit maybe like some of these others do for me. Number 5, this is tough because this could go higher depending on the day, but is Skeleton Crew. I love Skeleton Crew. However, when it and I think it is an excellent show. I literally have no problems with it. It just comes down to pure enjoyment for me. Number 4, I do have Acolyte. Again, the show is not perfect. I will never say that anything in Star Wars is absolutely perfect, but it was wonderful to me. The fight choreography, everything in this show, like the intrigue, created one of my new favorite villains. I love a lot of the characters in here. The kind of the shock in episode 5. I think Acolyte overhated and was probably just dampened a lot by, again, like you said, the community.
Or incorrectly hated. No, there was like overhated, but like there wasn't any reason to hate it at all.
I had a full conversation today with Connor from Beyond the Dune Sea about why he doesn't like the Acolyte, and all of his points were so valid. They weren't just like, hey, blah blah, all of the like the big headlines, Kiadi Moon's birthday, ruined whatever. It's like, no, they were like genuine critiques of his, and that's like I will love to talk about critiques and stuff, but for me, it's just I really enjoyed my time with Acolyte. Number 3 is The Mandalorian. I love the show. It's a comfort show for me. Season 1 and 2 especially. I do like season 3, but it definitely is the lowest for me. It's just I definitely am curious to see what they do with the movie, but I'm a big Mando guy, as you can see right here, as I look like I'm trying to flex, but I'm not. Right there.
There he is. Din Djarin.
And then number 2 is Ahsoka. This is very close. I truly, this does come down to a coin toss at the end of the day when it comes to what mood I'm in. But Ahsoka, like everything that you said, it's just great. And number 1 is Andor.
Glaze.
I am glazing it. Let's actually talk about it now.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, I'm going to go episode by episode because we've talked a lot about a bunch of different things. Episode 10, dedicated Luthen episode.
Dude.
Very cool stuff from this. Luthen is definitively one of my new favorite characters in Star Wars.
Honestly, my favorite moment in the series is with the Force Healer, but my second favorite moment in the series is him in that apartment with Bix.
Great moment, dude.
Dude, I loved that. I mean, it's not news to anybody, but oh my gosh, can he act his ass off?
Dude, Stellan Skarsgård is actually insane.
Yeah.
His range also, like, to think about what all he has done.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I love that they're kind of putting all these terms on of like Luthen is kind of like the OG rebel, of like, I mean, because it was one of the earliest. Like, he probably was, again, much like Saw Gerrera, one of the earliest rebels.
Yeah.
He's such a well done, and getting that flashback, and again, it only gives you what it needs you to know.
Yeah.
Is that he was within the Imperial ranks, and they were doing some not good things, and it was enough for him to make him snap. And I love the dynamic between him and Clea, which, by the way, the actress who plays Clea, I'm blanking on her name. She is so unbelievably wonderful. I hope she gets the greatest acting gigs for the rest of her life, because the fact that she did this straight out of acting school.
And she stole the show for the end 3 episodes.
she was the crux
Yep.
of the last 3 episodes. And the
Yep.
moment, I believe this is in, oh no, it is at the end of episode 10 when like we're going back and forth between those flashbacks to when she has to put him down. It's like and like it's this bittersweet moment because there is like I think she talked about it in the behind the scenes of like she actually still kind of has this like hate for him. Like they have
she refers to him as like it's not a father and daughter relationship.
Yeah. It is interesting that she says that because I still and obviously because art is subjective, I can interpret it this way, and I definitely I can see where that comes from. I do think at the end of the day, he is to her still a bit of like a father figure, or at least a caretaker.
Effectively,
yeah. Like but it's not like in the traditional father figure way because it's like she was raised to also kind of like. It's kind of like a weird like inverse of like Maul and Palpatine.
Yeah.
Where like she was kind of raised to be a weapon.
Yeah.
Almost to like be a tool against the rebellion. And her losing him is kind of this big thing of she's like she doesn't know what to do. She's like, no, I don't have a place at Yavin anymore. And Cassian being like, yes, you do. Like there is more to you. There is more to this than Luthen. Like and it's also. Dude, speaking of one of my favorite moments, when he is it's in the episode 3 when he is just tearing into the rebel leaders about he's like it is like disgusting or embarrassing how you'll sit here and like disgrace his name when you haven't even done a fraction of what he's done for this rebellion. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. Like it's so good. Like, and I love that Mon Mothma's like she just kind of like is like, yeah, you're right. Like she doesn't say anything, but like it's that like silent acknowledgement of like, yeah, no, like I mean, despite the problems we've had with Luthen, so much of this would not have happened without his what am I thinking of? Not considerations, with that contributions is what I'm thinking of. There's so much to talk about in these episodes, but those are the first things that immediately come to mind with just how so good, dude.
It is stupid good. And then like there's so many moments of like knowing that Luthen's rage comes from a place of that he was an Imperial soldier. Like it makes sense. Clea's background and the way she is, it makes sense for her character. I was listening to there was a podcast or an interview that was posted today with Josh Horowitz from Happy Sad Confused where he did it I believe it's at the 92nd Y with Tony Gilroy. I'm halfway through it. It is, dude, I love the stuff that Tony Gilroy has created. I love listening to him talk about the stuff that he's created. Like he's an incredibly entertaining interviewee. But he's talking about how this specific point in Star Wars, he called up Pablo Hidalgo to be like, hey, so this time period, how much do people really know about the Force? And he's like, basically no one. And he's like, how much do people know about lightsabers? And he's like, basically no one. And Tony Gilroy makes a joke and he's like, okay, so he's like, so it's completely separate then. And he obviously it's more than this, but like he refers to it as the 4 people that all the Star Wars the films are made about. Like it's called the Skywalker saga, but it's those outside of the rebellion from like the original trilogy or like what the characters do within the prequels, like, or even the sequels as well, with every form of the resistance and every form of the good guys army. They really are so separate from the rest of the galaxy in terms of their events. And like, I think that Andor shines because it is not within the events of those top tier separate characters, the way he explains it is he's like, if somebody was to make a movie about the UK and all they talked about the entire time was the crown, it's like, that's not the entirety of the history of this place, right? It's just one specific thing that is so separate from the people. And as much as it is a spotlight on the galaxy, and we see the galaxy through the eyes of those characters, like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and the Emperor being in a room, that's like the king, the prince, and another king being in a room, and everybody else that's happening on all the other far reaches of the galaxy have no idea it's going on until it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no live feed of what's going on in the throne room in Return of the Jedi. They hear about it after. And those ripple effects of something like that happening and then it affecting the group of the entirety of the galaxy. But then seeing the people who directly affect the galaxy, because they are kind of those people in there. Yeah. It's amazing. It's so good.
It's like, I mean, it truly is from the common people's perspective, like even down to like the beginning of Andor starting on Ferrix, of it just being about this community on this planet, of these workers, right? And of course Cassian ends up becoming, like, again with the stuff with the messenger, like with the Force healer, he's a messenger. Like, yes, the Force is still using this regular guy, but like I love that Pablo Hidalgo says that, because like when I was making that campaign that I did last year, I was like, well, I want this to be about people. Like, I'm like, who really is seeing lightsabers all the time? Who is really seeing, like, no, even people in the Empire don't really know who Vader is. They're like, what role do you, because like you get what's his face from A New Hope, and he's like challenging Vader because he's like, what are you doing here? Like he's one of the few to do that, but like he is this entity, like people, the all traces of the Jedi, of the Force, of lightsabers, all of it gone.
It's incredible to think about, like, the entirety of what happens in the prequels. If you were to just think of people who knew of Jedi who were out there with lightsabers, and then you get to the time post Order 66, and yes, we know there are people who survived Order 66 and have their lightsabers, like a Cal Kestis or an Obi-Wan or an Ahsoka, Ezra, Kanan, whoever else you want to, Sabine, whoever else you want to talk about. But they are few and far between in the eyes of the galaxy. They are ants while you are on a plane looking out at the landscape below you. However, there is one guy with a lightsaber walking around, and it's Darth Vader. And the entirety of the prequels, all of those lightsaber users are siphoned down into this one guy of Darth Vader. And think about, like we were talking about, the people who were in second grade for the time of Force Awakens, and like the separate, like the people who are born and only know the stories of the legends of Darth Vader, this evil guy who works for the Empire, who has a lightsaber. He's probably the only guy who they know of who has a lightsaber. And if they have not seen it, also don't know if lightsabers actually exist.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, they're even like in like the Charles Soule comic, they're all like burnt, they're all literally eradicated. That was what Palpatine wanted. And so now you're seeing the aftermath 15 years later of people, and I mean, even like Luthen's shop is really other than that, and then the Force healer are like the only traces of like even a little bit of that. Which, by the way, have you seen that picture of the Gungan skull with the Revan Empire?
With the Revan,
crazy, dude. Again, it's like the 25,000 years ago thing with like the Rakatan invaders. I'm like, crazy that Andor is so far removed from that, and yet has some of the coolest connections to expanded universe stuff. Season 1, you had the crystal. You also had like the Sith like Star Killer armor, which obviously is not directly Star Killers, but is supposed to be like an ancient Sith armor set. You've got the Mortis tablets and stuff and everything. And then you get season 2 and there's like, oh yeah, here's this thing of when the Rakatans took over the galaxy 25,000 years ago. Ding, 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 Dawn of the Jedi. And here's a Gungan skull that's got all of these like piercings and stuff and has a brand of the Revan's like Starforged Sith Empire. What?
Do you here's where we get nerdy and we stop being deep film bros about all this stuff and talk about nerdy theory stuff. Do you think there is a world where that story of disgraced Jar Jar is retconned into he dies and that's his skull? And because of the Darth Jar Jar stuff, he is not directly with the Emperor, but he is a descendant of Revan's Sith line.
Listen. The Darth Jar Jar joke is funny.
Yep.
I do not want that.
I don't want it either.
Yeah.
I don't want it either, but I am also like, it's a little on the nose that it is a Sith Easter egg on top of that, branded into an Easter egg of a Gungan head. And everybody knows that when you think of Star Wars and when you think of a Gungan, the only character that everybody is going to think of off the top of their head is going to be Jar Jar Binks, especially a year after the anniversary of the Phantom Menace with and Jar Jar Binks being in Fortnite as Darth Jar Jar. Like, it's all a little too it's all a little it's swirling a little too close to one another. It's all too close to each other's orbit in terms of timing that I'm like, it probably is. I would say there's a 99% chance it was just a fun thing that somebody thought of at Lucasfilm in the prop department. They were like, here, this will be a funny thing that we can put on there. It'll be a Gungan. Ooh, it'll be a Gungan. Ooh, what if it has the Sith logo on it? Wait, it's not the Sith logo. What about Revan's logo on the emblem of Revan's Empire on the nose of the Gungan, right? That's probably what it is. But there's also that thing in Star Wars where there's that 1% chance where the more that they lean into it, and I mean, they've been really leaning into the Darth Jar Jar stuff with not only the Fortnite thing, but like the Lego, the Galaxy, like the Build the Galaxy stuff. I would say I would be surprised isn't the right word. I would not be shocked, but I would be a little thrown off if they went for it with that.
Truthfully, if I had to be honest, I mean, and to be honest, this is just the cooler option to me. I just think it's like an ancient Gungan skull that like is a Gungan that was part of it actually could be a Sith Lord Gungan or like or like Sith assassin that was in Revan's, Sith Empire.
But of the time of the Old Republic.
Sure. I mean, that's what I would prefer. I also, since we're, I'll talk a little bit more about Andor. There's also these people that are like, is the baby at the end of the show Poe Dameron? Stop. No.
Is it Poe Dameron? No, Dameron. Dude, it is not. That's not Poe. Clea is not Princess Leia in a disguise.
I saw that and I was like, what is happening right now?
It's
okay, just for the clarification, Poe Dameron's parents have been in multiple comics already.
Yep.
Like they just were in that Battle of Jakku comic that came out not too long ago. Poe's parents are established characters just because Poe Dameron is one of the only Spanish descending Star Wars actors does not mean that he is it was, dude, you know what it reminds me of? When Force Awakens coming out and Finn was there, they were like, it's Mace Windu's grandson. I'm like, or they're like, it's Lando's son. I'm like, guys, the galaxy is so big. Just because there is one person of color does not mean they're immediately likened or connected to the only other person of color in Star Wars. Stop it. Stop. It's like, we need to move on from this. That being said, the moment at the end of this show, man, I mean, insane. You called it. You called it last week when you were talking about or I think maybe when we were talking with. No, yeah, it was during
it was
moment,
last week's live stream,
and you were like, "Have you seen the theory about like people saying it's like because she's pregnant?" And I was like, "Whoa!" And that when that happened, I was like, "No way, dude!" I was like, "That is crazy." It's so good and it's so heartbreaking, man. Like. And you've seen the parallel of like how it matches with the shots of Rogue One with like the Death Star explosion coming in.
I love that because it's all the idea of the sunrise, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Cassian saw that sunrise, but hey, you want to get really on the nose? He was not able to see his actual sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Like yes, sun, S-O-N, sun, S-U-N. But like the thing that me being a original trilogy schnob when it comes to stuff like this is how all of this is based on a sunrise, and the exact flip of that is Luke on the other side of frame watching the sunset of the twin suns. And that's what, like, Cassian saw his sunrise and that was the end of his story, and Luke's sunset was the start of his. Like, that visual storytelling, and then seeing Luke on that exact same side, where you could do the same thing you did with Cassian and Bix, where it's the explosion in Rogue One on the beach, and it's Bix holding Cassian and Bix's their son together, watching that sunrise and looking out over the fields of wheat. But then also do the exact same thing of Luke looking out at the twin suns and then looking over the burned body of Vader on the pyre in the exact same way. You could do it as well of like, if you were behind Luke and you looked over the shoulder of Luke, when he's looking out at the Force ghosts, that mirrored image is exactly the same side of frame that he would be on looking out at the Force ghosts as he would looking out over the twin suns. Like, the visual storytelling when it comes to that stuff is probably my favorite thing to point out when it comes to Star Wars. Like, I love the same way we all do of like, hey, that's this in canon, and then going on Wikipedia and then finding this, and how does it link up, and oh, it's 10,000 years, like it's the same period as this and what was happening back then. I love putting together those puzzle pieces, but when it comes to the visual storytelling of not even the dialogue being reused or the dialogue being mirrored, but just the shots that we get, dude.
Well, let's talk about my favorite one, which connects into one of my favorite moments from the very last episode, and it just brought it so full circle for me. This is also musically paralleling, but of course the shot, which by turn is actually the same shape of the symbol, the Andor symbol, of when Cassie. So in the beginning of Andor, when Cassian is in the tunnel.
Yep.
And before Marva and Clem pick him up, and then the shot of when Bix leaves being the exact same framing of him in the doorway of their hut.
Yep.
Is so good. But one of my favorite last little moments that connects to those two moments as well. And it's so subtle and it's so good. And I commented on a post that Crafting on Ilum Tiara did. Go give her a follow. She's amazing.
Tiara's great. What's up, Tiara? If you're watching this, you're the best.
She's awesome. She posted something, and it's one of my favorite moments in the entire show is when he's sleeping. I think it's after they've gotten back from the Coruscant.
Yeah.
And he's dreaming about his sister again. Like, he's immediately taken back to Kenari and his sister, and it being like, and him like kind of waking up with a jolt of like, he's still thinking about that.
Yep.
And there was so much of this show, people being like, is Cassian's sister going to show up? And I part of me thought, I was like, oh, maybe there are some moments or whatever that she will or something. But I think Tony Gilroy nailed it, because I love that it never gets resolved. And what I love is also very similar to Bix. He's still actively thinking about it, like, but he's bypassing it at this point. Like, it's still on the back of his mind, and maybe it's even one of the reasons why he's still fighting. why he's still going on is that maybe there's this hope that one day he'll be able to find her too, but that it's just that he's still haunted by that moment, yet he keeps going and still continues to be that messenger of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that truly is the whole through line, right? It's like he was taken off that planet as a messenger because of what happened to his planet, you know, and then it continues all the way until we get to one of my favorite scenes in the whole show is when he's finally given the green light to go. It's Kivik is the one, because they're trying to figure out like what the information that Luthen gave him, is that real, was it a setup or whatever, and then they're getting that call from Kivik. One of my favorite tracks in the entire show is past, present, and future, and it's just him. We talked about it a little bit already on the side, but of him, he's putting on the outfit that you see in Rogue One. He's ready to go, and it's all in slow motion, and we're getting all of these little shots of the people on Yavin, whether it's Vel or Mon Mothma or Melshi like running with the guards, and it's like where it's leading to, and it's just, I don't know. I love the fact that like he is so willing to accept his destiny and his fate, or maybe despite his hesitations, he still keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And there's I feel like there's just so much to analyze that I couldn't articulate nearly as well as maybe someone like Tony Gilroy, who actually made it. But there's just so much power in that scene right there. And I immediately, when that track is playing, all I can think of is every person along the way.
Yep.
Right. Whether it is his sister, and then his father, and then his mother, and then the people on the Aldani heist, and then the prisoners and Kino Loy, and then the people of Ferrix, and then like Wilman's father, and then Brasso, and like it's just these checkpoints of everything that Cassian has been through. And we get that little discussion piece from him and Vel as they're like, they kind of cheer, and they're talking about everybody who's kind of been lost along the way. And it's like, it's I mean, literally like climbing, not to get too visceral here, but like climbing a mountain of bodies to get to victory, like, and like to see where they have laid down their lives so that the people can get to the top and win and beat the Empire, fight the Empire. And Cassian is so instrumental in that. And yeah, he doesn't make it out. And that's the heartbreaking thing about it. But Bix and his son will live on. And that's such the bittersweet thing about it. And it's kind of Kanan-esque too, a little bit, the fact what he did, everybody else kind of lived on his sacrifice. I'm a sucker for people who make sacrifices, man. And even if Cassian didn't know it, he was willing to accept it, Yeah. It's just, oh man, this show, there's so much going on. It's so real, not in the sense of like, oh, it feels realistic to like our real life, but it's so real in the sense of like the story elements that are happening here. It feels, here's what I'll say. I think Andor is the most human show of Star Wars. It shows so much of the level of humanity in these characters. And I think the character work is some of the best, not only just in Star Wars, but in some of my favorite fiction storytelling of all time. I know I'm yapping a lot, but like it's just that good, man.
Yeah. It's truly phenomenal, and the quality of which it was created. It's interesting, on that same interview with Tony Gilroy that I was talking about earlier that came out today. He talks about how when they were originally making the show before it was shut down for COVID, that initially he was like, I hope COVID cancels the show because I don't want to keep making it. Because he was like, the stress of the show and the scale of the show, he was really? Like, I hope COVID shuts this down. And then he talks about how COVID was terrible, but he refers to it, he's like, without COVID saved the show because it forced him to step back in a way that he only could do the necessities and he was separate from the show, not even just like from a creative standpoint, but from like a physical standpoint, because he wasn't on set. And kind of the same, he refers to it as like having to do that again with the writer's strike, of like he wasn't even allowed to do anything. It was a completely more siphoned off role for the show until the writer's strike was funneled out.
Yeah.
And Diego Luna had to fill that goal, or that space for the creation of the show. But like, he talks about how, and I didn't know this, and I don't know if this was like a known thing, but originally each arc of this season was going to be a season of Andor.
Yep.
Like the 3 episodes, every 4 weeks was going to be its own season. And there was going to be 5 seasons of Andor.
So I did want to talk briefly about this. I had a conversation with my dad. If I had to get nitpicky, and I'm going to preface by saying, I think they did it in such an amazing way that I can't even be mad. Selfishly, there were some things in the show that were left out that are not crucial to the show, but I would have loved to have seen to be fleshed out into a 5-season show. Like, I think they could have done it. Because, like, when you think about, like, the first 3 episodes, like, that in and of itself, I mean, like, if you like, drew that out a little bit or whatever, like, that could be, maybe not those 3 episodes, but that could either be the beginning or the end of a season 2, you know? Like, same thing. Like, I mean, imagine if like all of the Gorman stuff was season 4, right? Maybe it was 4 seasons, right? Where they made they made the middle 2 arcs kind of one big season. And so maybe it took over the space of 2 years. And then the last 3 episodes of getting a little bit more of that Luthen stuff and everything. Even the beginning of maybe season 4 or 5 being the Mon Mothma stuff, like, you know, him getting her out with being like a opening. That is my only critique of, like, I want there to be more, you know, because there's so much there. Like, I would have loved to have seen them establish Yavin, you know, and there's other missions that, like, you know, Cassian and stuff went on that we maybe didn't get to see, but I don't want to say it wouldn't have added anything to the show, but like them cutting that out didn't take anything away from it.
It wasn't, as much as it would have been great to have, it wasn't necessary for the entirety of the show that we got.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny too. He talks about in that interview that apparently the original draft, or one of the very original drafts of Andor, was going to be all about like Cassian and K2SO, and the way he refers to it as like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which outside of Star Wars, that is my favorite movie. Butch Cassidy, and that's my favorite movie outside of Star Wars. Yeah, dude, it is so much fun. Okay. I love that movie. Just like so Western, so like just buddy. It's like it could not be more fun of a film. It feels like you're watching old Hollywood, like as you're watching it, which is so much fun. And like I said, outside of Star Wars, it is my favorite movie. I am very happy we did not get that for Cassian and K2. I would have loved like an episode. Like if there was one arc that was 4 and it was the K2 Cassian episode, and it was like him, Melshi, and K2, but we also got that in the finale, where it was the 3 of them together and they had to go on that rescue.
Yeah, I would have loved some more K2, like especially once he gets activated and then we jump a year later to like see them kind of like growing together, you know? Because like you kind of like I would love to have seen like the growing pains of their relationship before they get to that point of them being like this, you know.
I'll say it right now, K2SO top 5 droid. We've done a million rankings on this episode alone. I'll tell you right now, Hu Yang, R2D2, K2SO, C3PO, BD1, top 5. Top 5. Sorry about it. There's a droid that I left out on purpose because he's not my favorite droid.
I know,
and I know a lot of people like him.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. He's not my favorite. And if you want to talk about murder droids, K2SO wipes the floor with young Chopper. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to like bring Legends, I'd put HK in there. But yeah, I think I agree
Yeah.
with top 5, like because I'm or a proxy even. But
yeah,
K2 was my favorite droid before Ahsoka came out with and had more of Huyang. Like I always thought Huyang was cool, but you never really got a whole lot of him in Clone Wars. So yeah, R2 is a legend. So yeah, K2 is that guy. Dude, I knew that. I was wondering if you were going to bring it up, dude. That little action set piece. That I love. People have been memeing it to death or whatever. He's just like, "Are you with us?"
Yep.
No. It's like you're just backhanding, like it's just so good, man. Like
the using a human shield to take those bullets when you are literally a bulletproof droid is
great, dude. And he's just like
insane. Yep.
Just like I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and you just love to see it because they're Imperial scum,
which is pretty gruesome for Star Wars as well, to show the dead body of that guy just flopping around, getting blasted with laser bolts. Like,
that action set, the sequence as well. I loved how cramped it was in that apartment of like when they're like around the U-bend of the corner and like they throw the stun grenade and it's like. I was like, this is so sick.
It felt like a video game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I was like, this feels so tactical and like gritty. And I was like, that's where I'm saying is I'm like, I kind of just would have loved to have seen more. Another thing I would have loved to have seen more of, I will say, this is maybe actual critique. I was kind of missing out on my boy Saw Gerrera this season. He wasn't in it a whole lot. That one of my favorite scenes in season 1 or sets of scenes is Luthen and Saw, like whenever they would meet up, because they're such interesting. I'd say foils of one another, but they have so much in common with each other.
Luthen, Saw, and Krennic all have so much in common with each other. Those 3 characters are they are all, to use the Saw Gerrera term, mining for resources. In the same way Krennic is, in the same way Luthen is. It's just all of their resources are different. Luthen's is people, Saw is weapons, and Krennic is literally resources to build a giant weapon.
Calcite.
Yeah.
Synthetic calcite.
Synthetic. Join the Empire. Help us find synthetic calcite.
Yeah, and Kyber and
Rhydonium.
Rhino.
My sister.
Yeah, dude, it's like it's also
get a hit of this, Wheelman.
Never thought that Saw and Cassian kind of have some commonality there with them both having sisters as well. Like they're such. Okay, don't laugh, but like just like the fact that like they have both of them having sisters.
Cassian's sister is kind of like Rhydonium.
Oh, dude. Oh man. Also, I want to one last thing because I know we're running long and we talked about other stuff for a really long time.
Yeah.
Listen, I know there was controversy around it. I do think they did the right thing. The guy who replaced Bale really grew on me.
Killed it, dude.
Yeah, really liked him.
Killed it. So good. And that scene of like, it was a little funny. It not from a point of like, oh, I hate this. Like, why did they recast? Like, it was just a little funny in Rogue One after Mon Mothma is like, this is Cassian Andor. He's a rebel pilot. Like when she introduces him to Jyn, and you see Bale, Jimmy Smits walk in wearing the exact same thing that Bale is wearing at the end of the finale. Yeah, no, it's sick with it slashes over and it's got the Greeblies on the side. The
Schmeeble Deebles.
Yeah, the Schmeebles Deebles. Schmeebles Deebles was recast as Bail Organa.
That's crazy.
Wearing the same thing. It was a little funny in the Rogue One rewatch. Of just like because he literally just steps into frame. Like Jimmy Smits is just like floats in. It's like, oh, Jimmy Smits is back.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah,
but he killed it. He's a great actor, and I had never seen Miss Congeniality, and my wife and my sister-in-law showed me the other night that he's in that movie. He's the main guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
he's
funny.
The main guy who like works for the FBI with her.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I've seen him in something else too. What is it? Is it Benjamin
Bratt.
Bratt?
I was
Yeah.
like, I thought you're saying his name. I thought originally you were like, I was like, I do not think he's in Benjamin Button.
No,
I thought you were
don't
just
think
listing
so.
another project that he was in.
No,
I was like, I
no.
don't remember him being in the Mysterious Case of Benjamin Button.
The last thing I want to talk about is just all those little like remaining character vignettes of seeing like as the show is kind of wrapping, like seeing where everybody's at, dude. Like with like I talked to you about it, like seeing Perrin with Davos Skolden's wife.
Yeah, dude.
You know? And it's just like a very like interesting to like see like. And granted, he's not like a huge player in the show, but to be like, oh, that's interesting. The big one being Dedra in prison, dude. Like, just insane.
There she is.
Dude.
There she is.
She come with the U-Wing?
Yeah, dude. It's Cassian, K2, Dedra, and then one of the Imperial, like, the ISB troopers.
Yeah, those guys are sick too.
Yeah, they actually really are cool. Like the full stormtrooper garb with just no helmet is actually kind of a vibe.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it was just cool to see like where everyone ended up. Even like Partagaz, like, you know, like I was like, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah,
like you see why the ISB just crumples, dude. Like,
yep.
'cause that's the thing in the lore is like by the time of a New Hope, the ISB is just done.
Yep. And I was saying to you yesterday when we recorded our episode with Brent coming soon, Nerdy Brent.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be coming out later this weekend. Yeah. This weekend, Nerdy Brent. Go follow him if you already are not, which you probably are. But we were talking about it yesterday when we were recording. It is nothing but a pure example of how good the writing for the characters are. And the writing for the characters is that when you see Dedra in the prison cell, you cannot help but feel bad for this evil person who did evil things. And even though it kind of reminded me of the only knowing of the original trilogy of how people probably thought about Darth Vader, of like, no, he's this evil guy, and then seeing him at the end with his helmet off of tell Leia you were right, and Luke forgiving him in that moment. Like, I know Dedra didn't really have a Darth Vader like helps kill the Emperor moment, but you still like this evil person, and then you feel bad for them at the end, knowing that not only A, did they lose, but B, they gave their entire life to this thing that was wrong and then lost. It's just incredible story, incredible like script writing, incredible character writing. It from top to bottom, it is fantastic. And I've said it before, there will forever be a time before Andor and a time after Andor. As Star Wars fans, we will all remember how it was before Andor, and we will all remember how it will be now the rest of our lives after Andor.
And keep this as a bullet point, and this has never been the case, but for people who will say this, I will make it very clear. People love to say this until the cows come home. That Star Wars is not dead, dude. It is like Andor. If everything else is like, oh, it's dead or whatever, first of all, I don't agree with you. But second, Andor is living proof that there is so much more that can be added to Star Wars in such a meaningful way. And I think, I hope that it is another bar that can be strived for, you know, because I do think they really just outdid themselves in a great way.
It truly gets me upset when people come into comment sections, or even when they're talking about Star Wars, and they refer to Star Wars as a dead franchise. Truly, these past few years for Star Wars have been some of the best and some of my favorite of all time, being a Star Wars fan. Star Wars is alive. Star Wars is alive and well. We are going to continue getting great Star Wars. We have Star Wars returning to theaters next year, and we have all of those films that are currently on the docket. We have whatever is going on with that Ryan Gosling film with Starfighter that I am also excited for, and I know you're excited for as well. Star Wars is alive, it is well, and look, are there things that people say are bad about Star Wars that maybe you don't like in Star Wars? Star Wars, there are so many things in Star Wars that don't have to be your favorite thing, but that you have a favorite thing in Star Wars is what is keeping it alive. And yeah, it really, to sound like an old head here, it really grinds my gears when people refer to Star Wars as a dead franchise. It is fantastic. Star Wars is the best. Everybody is comparing themselves to Star Wars. You can't make something now without thinking of Star Wars. It is in our DNA as people. Star Wars is the best. It's thriving, it's alive and well. And, we talk about Star Wars, but there's so many people who are keeping Star Wars alive, so many Star Wars creators, the people who are making Star Wars, and I don't mean Star Wars creators online, like the people who are literally creating Star Wars. Yeah. They are the creatives making Star Wars, keeping it alive. Star Wars is thriving.
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Oh, and we still have a lot more on the way, dude.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Thank you, Lainey. I'm not even gonna explain this.
She's probably hopping in because she is like, I told them that I would play Fortnite after, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm really tired, so I'm probably not doing that. Sorry, Lainey.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna explain this. Lainey and I are in kind of a battle right now, and that's all I'll say. Hey, dude, do we have any other Star Wars to talk about? We've been talking about this for like almost 2.5 hours.
I'm like really just like trying to rack my brain. Didn't you I think there was like a thing that you edited or something. I kind of want to see that again. I don't really remember that. Can we watch that one more time before we wrap up?
Oh man. Yeah, I guess.
Yes!
Here, I'm going to end it with that.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I know this was a long one. There's merch. There's merch available now if you would like to rep my favorite and one of the most important messages in all of Star Wars, your focus determines your reality, as well as support the show. This is a great way to do it. This is all available at the link in the description. It is available on the Determined Focus Instagram, the link there. It's available in my link on Instagram. We just posted about it as well. We will be doing a giveaway here pretty soon with it coming tomorrow, as that will be announced. Another way to support the podcast, please like this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you. Leave a comment talking about whatever you have to say about Star Wars, whether you agreed with us, whether you did not. Go buy some. Whatever you just rag on it real quick. Whatever you have to say about what we talked about tonight, please drop a comment. We love hearing what you guys have to say. And as well, I know it's always scrolls here on the bottom. If you have a question that you would like answered on the pod, when you comment down below, use hashtag YFDYR, and we will get to that question in the next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate you. Your focus determines your reality. May the Force be with you always. I really apologize for what you are about to see.
Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force.
My brother, Anakin!
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom!
What's great, my little brother?
Always remember.